Enhancing your paragraphs with HTCEV. So, what is HTCEV? Well, frankly put, it is where you start your paragraph with a hooker. You add transition words and you apply some little CEV, commentary, elaboration, and vocabulary. So, remember, VIP number 1, remember the HTCEV. Now, also a little segue point, the E right here can interchange, I'll probably interchange it between evidence and elaboration. But remember, it still starts with E, so remember HTCEV, hooker, transition, commentary, elaboration, vocabulary, or hooker, transition, commentary, evidence, vocabulary. But if you do the HTCEV, when you're writing your paragraphs, you'll be enhanced. So let's look at an unenhanced paragraph. Opposites attracting during the Budweiser Puppy Love ad serves as the best Super Bowl commercial of 2014. The commercial cleverly shows that you sometimes can't help who you fall in love with. For example, the puppy, off the beaten path, discovers the horse, clearly not a suitable mate, and falls in love. Despite their differences, each does whatever it takes to be together. Budweiser, through these two lovebirds, show us that differences shape and can bring us joy, love, and happiness. So this is an effectively written paragraph. We have our main point, opposites attracting during the Budweiser Puppy Love ad serves as, so that's our main point, that opposites attracting. That's what we're saying. That's why this commercial, the Budweiser Puppy Love commercial, is the best commercial of 2014. So we got our topic and main point. We also have support and elaboration. Remember, we got to have maybe two opinions, one fact for this sample. But remember, normally it's 2 facts, 1 opinion. So we have opinion. The commercial cleverly shows that you sometimes can't help who you fall in love with. That is our opinion. Then we have a fact taken directly from the text. For example, the puppy off the beaten path. And then we have another opinion. Despite their differences, each does whatever it takes to be together. And then we have our so what conclusion. In conclusion, differences shape and can bring us, in conclusion, Budweiser through the two lovebirds show us that differences shape and can bring us joy, love, and happiness. That immediately answers the reader's question, so what? Well, I'll tell you what. Budweiser through the two lovebirds show us that differences shape and can bring us joy, love, and happiness. But this paragraph can be enhanced. There's more that we can do to it. And we do that through the HTCEV. Number 1, start your paragraph with a hooker. Now, a hooker, don't get alarmed, a hooker is 1, it hooks or grabs your attention. That's VIP number 2. The hooker previews or teases your reader. Just like a preview of a movie preview can tease you, that's what a hooker does. And lastly, the 3 things about a hooker, the third thing about a hooker is that it can interest or pique your reader. So, there's 3 functions of a hooker. It should grab, it should tease, and it should pique. If your hooker doesn't do any of that, you have a bad hooker, and you need to throw that hooker away. All right, VIP number 3. A hooker is short. It's not a long, drawn-out sentence. It's not a long, drawn-out paragraph. In just one paragraph, your hooker is short. No more than 1 sentence. You can write a good quality hooker in 1 sentence. VIP number 4. Top 3 ways to write a hooker. Step number 1, ask a rhetorical question. A rhetorical question, for those of you that don't know, is a question that you don't want to be answered or a question that is blatantly obvious. For example, during a closed note test where I've clearly told you that the test will be closed, you ask, so I can't use my notes? That's a rhetorical question. It's a question that you already know the answer to, or your reader already knows the answer to, and you're really just asking it to get them to think. So ask a rhetorical question is the first way you can start or create a hooker. The second way is tell a personal statement, fact, or something funny. A personal statement could be just your opinion. It could be a fact, something you take directly from the text, outside evidence, or statistic. Or it could be something funny. Say you have a clever way you want to start your paragraph. That could be something funny and that would grab, tease, and pique your reader and effectively hook them. And the third way you can write a hooker is to give a quote. Now, typically when I say give a quote, I mean give a quote from your primary or anchor text. Don't just go on anonymousquotes.com and give me a quote. That's crappy and that's outlawed and banned, as you'll soon learn. You want to give a quote from your primary or anchor text. Something that actually has a person that said it. Not an anonymous person, but a real live person. So, start your paragraph with a hooker. Remember, a hooker should grab, tease, and pique, and you can write a hooker by asking a rhetorical question, telling a personal statement, or giving a quote. So let's look at a hooker. Of all the couples to make it, who would have thought of a puppy and a huge horse? Did it grab you? Huh? Did it tease you? Huh? Did it pique you? Huh? If it did, you got a hooker. Step number 2, the T. Add transition words or phrases. VIP number 6. A transition word or phrase is something that can segue or transition from one point to another in your paragraph and then later on in your essays. A transition word or phrase shows relationships between ideas, sentences, or paragraphs. Look at it like this. When you are talking or conversating, you typically transition from one point to the next. So you're done with point A, but you don't want to immediately go into point B, so you use something to transition to point B. Choosing transition words. Now, VIP number 7. See the link below or click on the link right here to get a list of transition words. It's a complete list. It's broken up into categories. You're going to love it. So how do you take that list and actually choose a transition word? 2 steps. Step 1, what relationship do you want to show? Think about the connection between this sentence and the sentence before it. So you have your 2 sentences. You have the sentence that just ended one point and you're about to start a new point. What transition word would best serve to transition from point A that's ending to point B that's beginning? Once you figure that out, you choose the transition word that best fits. And that leads us to step 2, where you select a category. Which category represents best what you want to say? If you want to provide an example, don't use a sequential order transition word. That's going to throw you completely off. If you want to go in sequential order, don't use an example or contrasting transition word. Because VIP 8, VIP 9, transition words can change the context of the sentence. And then lastly, VIP 8, avoid repetition. You don't want to constantly use the same transition word every single time you're ready to transition. That gets monotonous, and then that loses your reader. And remember, your goal is to grab them, tease them, and pique them. Lastly, in the HTCEV is the CEV. So we're ready to apply some CEV. Hey, all right. The C stands for commentary. Commentary is just a nice word for support. And plus, I thought CEV sounded better than SEV. So, commentary is just another word for support. Now, what is commentary? Commentary is your own personal thoughts, your own personal opinions, your own prior knowledge, and essentially it's your own voice. It's the words that you create out of your brain. When you're doing any discussions in class, this is the commentary. This is what you're writing. This is what you feel. So it's the easiest to come up with. It should be. Now, once you have your commentary, you want to add some elaboration, or remember, some evidence. Now, elaboration or evidence are the facts, quotes, and statistics that are going to add credibility to your commentary. Because in a paragraph, if you just have a lot of commentary, there's no credibility. I'm going to be like, so what? And then who are you? You're nobody. Now, with elaboration or evidence, i.e. facts, quotes, or statistics, you're able to add credibility to your commentary. Now, another rule of thumb is when I'm asking you, or when your teacher is asking you to provide textual evidence, that is the elaboration or evidence they're looking for. So essentially, your paragraph goes like this. You have your hooker. Then you have your topic, main point, aka your focus statement. Then you'll have your commentary, elaboration, and if needed, commentary, elaboration, conclusion. That is an enhanced paragraph. Now, VIP number 10, if you're getting stuck with where to find your facts, your quotes, your statistics, or your textual evidence, remember the rule, REWL. Reflect on what you've read, what you've experienced, what you've watched, and what you've listened to. So remember the rule when it comes to textual evidence, facts, quotes, and statistics. Reflect on what you've read, what you've experienced, what you've watched, and what you've listened to. Now, listen to could be music, it could be podcasts, and it could also be discussions you've even had in your classes. And lastly, the V stands for vocabulary. Quite simply put, we want to weed out the bad. Therefore, another link right below is a list of banned and outlawed words. Effective today, from the day you're watching this video, any of these words on this list are hereby banned in your writing. And if they're banned, you may suffer a penalty. So we want to weed out those bad words, and we want to plant good words. What do I mean by good words? I mean by good enhanced vocabulary. Instead of saying huge, how about I say gigantic? Instead of saying it, how about I say subjects? Instead of saying would have, I should say would have. So vocabulary is where we weed out the bad and we plant the good. And that is enhancing your paragraphs with HTCEV.